I'm here.
All right, welcome everybody. We are waiting on one more to join us, and maybe Dr. Tack if he's available as well. So I'm going to go ahead and open us up. And let's see, is Ephraim still with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Sure, if you wouldn't mind, would you please go ahead and open us up in a word of prayer?
Let us bow. Most gracious Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for this time you've given us to come together to have this council meeting, oh Heavenly Father. May everything go as smooth and smooth as it can, oh Heavenly Father. May we make the decision that is best for the citizens of Long Oak. In Christ's name we give thanks, amen.
Yes, amen. All right, Jerry Beth, can you hear me okay? All right, if you would, please call the roll. You got to unmute.
There we go. Y'all can hear me now?
Getting really good at lip reading on this application, on this platform.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Mayor,
Here.
Mr. Philip Howell,
Here.
Miss Stewart,
Here.
Mr. Jones,
Here.
Mrs. Bridges,
Here.
Mr. Hatton, Mr. Hatton. Okay, right. Mr. Biles,
Here.
Mr. Cordell,
Here.
Mr. Florence,
Here.
Mr. Butler, Mr. Butler, Mrs. Elmore.
Here.
All right, Mayor, we have a quorum.
All right, very well. If you guys will keep Mr. Hatton in your prayers, he's in the hospital, and I know Coy's doing his best right now to log in, so hopefully we'll see both of them soon. I'm going to get the presentation set up. All right. So what we got on tonight's agenda, and we had nobody for a public comment section, but let me back up. And what I'm going to do is make known that the minutes from July 13th were made available last week, as well as the July 16th special condemnation meeting minutes were made available. And as long as everybody's had an opportunity to review those minutes, then I'll take a motion to approve the July 13th regular meetings first.
I move we accept the July 13th minutes as presented.
I hear a second.
I second it.
Motion made by Ms. Bridges and seconded by Ms. Elmore. Any questions?
I have one question.
Okay.
I noticed in the minutes that on the new business, all the resolutions from last month, there are 4 of them that it doesn't say whether or not the motion carried. Is that supposed to be in there? Because like it just says Matt Cordell made the motion, Alice Bridges seconded the motion, but it doesn't say motion carried on A, C, E, and F. So we don't know if we passed it or not, do we?
My version says it carried. The very next sentence says Alice Bridges seconded the motion, motion carried. Ginger Stewart read resolution 74-2020 in its entirety.
Okay, mine doesn't say that. I'm sorry. Do all the rest of them say that?
They
Mine does
should.
not.
Those were the minutes for July 13th.
Yeah. So it says that on C.
Yes.
And E and F.
Yes.
The motion carried. Okay. It's just not on this copy. So thank you.
We are talking about the July 13th meeting minutes, right?
Yes, I'm seeing the same thing that Alice is seeing. It doesn't show the conclusion of these resolutions.
Yeah.
It shows that the motion's carried to put them on the floor. The reading was moved, and this is item A, and seconded. There is no conclusion to.
You're right. I was
A.
misreading it.
Okay.
I will get that fixed. It does not say motion carried on any of them.
Okay.
On A, B, and C, correct?
A, C, E, and F.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
No, thank you. Appreciate it. And Jerry Beth, thanks for following up. We'll get that fixed. Any other questions? Then I'll take it to a vote. All in favor of passing July 13th regular meetings contingent upon the corrections, say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, that passes, and we'll get those meeting minutes corrected to reflect properly. Thanks, Ms. Alice. Now, I'll take a motion to pass the July 16th special condemnation meeting minutes. Do you have a motion? All right, who was that?
Second.
All right, motion is made by Matt Cordell. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Ms. Bridges. Are there any questions about the condemnation meeting minutes? All right, if not, all in favor of passing, say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, both meeting minutes are passed. And moving on to public comments again. We don't have any this week. And executive board reports, we're going to go to economic development report by Mr. Gene Eagle. The report was light on the 2022 side, so they're going to catch up next month with us. Gene, the floor is yours, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Had a list of things to go over. I've tried to keep it. First of all, Dan Salinger and I took a drive around the community and looked at the housing and the economic development sites and issues related to his job, sharing ideas and getting to know each other. On the 5th of August, Mayor Reed and I had a conference call with some of the executives of the Arkansas Economic Development Commission seeking some guidance on a few issues. On August 6th, we had a Zoom call with the members and officers of the Oak Economic Acceleration and Development Corporation with John Chadwell, the executive director of the City of Newport Economic Development Commission. And it was a very good presentation, lasted about an hour with some give and take, some questions and answers. It was affirming to me to see that some of the plans that we've made, action steps that we've taken over the last 3 years, it's pretty much falling in line with what they've done. One project that we're aware of, it's a potential digital RFI that's maybe looking for 60 jobs, $4 million capital expenditure budget. So we're waiting to see what that one's going to look like. I had worked on some consulting for a business that's located in the county, an existing project that's looking to expand. I spent quite a bit of time working with them, advising them on a number of things. And then finally, we are paying attention to the activities with the Remington Arms Corporation. Everyone's probably read the newspapers and seen the internet articles, and just want to let you know that we're paying close attention and praying and hoping the best for the families, the workforce with that plant. And at the end of the bankruptcy process, we want to see, a healthy environment for the manufacturing plant here located in Lonoke County. Mayor Reed, that's all I have right now. I'll be happy to take questions if there are any.
Thanks, Gene. Are there any questions? All right. Well, appreciate the report, Gene. All right. Moving down the agenda. Next will be the budget and finance with the second quarter numbers report. And Mr. Philip Howell has joined us with by telephone. So Philip, I don't know if you can see us, probably can't, but the floor is yours, sir.
I can't. Can you hear me okay?
Hear you just fine. Thank you.
Okay. Well, you've got the 6-month numbers in your packet. Just to look at the page that shows the 6-month budget comparison. Just point out some of the things that may jump out at you first. Some of the things that are shown in the red. First of all, let me say that given all that's going on, things are going pretty well. Of course, we do have some issues. You know, it's sales tax is off, city sales tax is off a little bit, but county sales tax is actually up to a degree that our monthly average for the two is up. So water sewer revenue is off some, but it's really not due to non-pay or past dues. It's due to usage, and we can't control that. Usage is down, so income is down. And of course, our expenses aren't particularly down for a lot of reasons. So you can see there that water and sewer number doesn't look great, but water and sewer does have a good bank balance. So it means that our cash is decreasing some, but all in all, that's good as well. Also, municipal parks and city parks jumps out a little bit at you because it looks so different. You have to remember in the income side, it includes the $450,000 loan that we took this year to finish the concession stand construction. And of course, over on the expense side, you can see that that's up as well. But when you consider all things, especially with the ballpark, they're okay. And of course, they're missing some income. Some of their expenses are fixed. And so we just have to deal with that. But again, they have a good, strong source of income through the A&P money, which is also off slightly, but doing okay. So ballpark, and Wardon may touch on that later, but they have some plans later in the year that may make that number look a little better. I mentioned water and sewer revenue. You can see that that income number is off about $70,000 from same time previous year. Again, we attribute most of that to lower usage. Advertising and promotion that I mentioned a while ago, that's ballparks or parks, major source of revenue, is down about $14,000. So considering, that's a sales tax, that's not a bad number given the months that we've gone through COVID. If you look at the sales tax comparison sheet, as I said, you can look at that and see that it's only down slightly. Overall, when you look at sales tax, the city tax and the county tax, the average is up some for the first 6 months of the year over where it was last year, and that's primarily on the county side. Again, A&P revenue from that 1 cent tax, it's off about both things together, both restaurants and motels, it's off about to a rate of about $4,000 a month, which is significant, but overall the numbers are pretty good. That's really all the comments I had about the budget. We've been watching everything closely. Police is in good shape, in better shape than it's been in a long time. They're showing a positive number in criminal justice, which is one of their major sources of income. If you look at that account, it continues to grow. So I'm encouraged all in all. And one thing we don't have, and Jim Kelly can shed some light on this, he can certainly give us some insight on it later. We don't have a 6-month usage figure to compare to last year in water and sewer, but it'd be interesting to see exactly what it is because that seems to be where most of our income reduction is. The only other thing is the legislative audit for last year. It too looks good. One thing we're always written up about, and it's not a very serious thing. Our bookkeeping is cash accounting. They would prefer that we use accrual accounting, and we probably never will. So while we're written up for it, technically it's acceptable. They put the note in the financials, and we go on. The only other thing mentioned in there that, if you noticed in there, you read there was a letter from them stating at the ballpark that we paid an employee improperly, so to speak. What that amounted to is we had an employee out there that works out there all the time. We had an umpire that didn't show up. So Roy Don asked him to umpire, and he did. And he was paid as contract labor as an umpire would be, rather than paid overtime as he should have been as an employee. So they brought that out in a letter for guidance, not really written up as a deficiency or a material weakness. So that's really all I've got out of that report. If you got any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer them.
All right, thanks, Philip. I appreciate the report. Before we move on, are there any questions for Philip about the budget or about the audit report? All right, if not, Chief, I'll pass it over to you.
All right, good evening. First, you should have your monthly report in front of you. We had 12 EMS calls, 17 fire calls, total of 29, average attendance 3.17, on scene time of 14 hours and 49 minutes. Any questions over that? All right. You have two items before you to approve. The first one is a generator install. We got the generator a couple months ago. It got delivered, and I got all the bids in finally. I have 3 bids before you: Nicholson, Thompson, and Arnold Blevins. Nicholson being the low bid on that.
I move that we accept the Nicholson bid for installation of the new generator at the fire department.
Second.
All right, I got a motion to approve by Ms. Alice and a second by Ephraim Jones. Any questions or concerns? All in favor, say aye.
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 There we go. Aye.
Aye.
I think that was everybody. All opposed? The motion carries.
All right, the next thing I have for your approval is I got quotes, the 2 competitors for headsets for our fire truck. We use them to communicate going down the road. They're also connected to the radio, and they provide hearing protection from the sirens and loud noises. The 2 bids are from Arkansas Valley Communications and M&J Communications. Arkansas Valley had the lower bid at $6,094.70.
I'll take a motion to approve the headsets as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made by Coy Butler, seconded by Ephraim Jones. Are there any questions? If there's no questions, take it to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. All right, Justin, you got anything else for us?
No, sir, that's all I have. Thank y'all.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, we got a report by Jim Kelly.
Good evening. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we got you loud. Thanks.
First off, my monthly report. You'll see a lot of water repairs on it. And the only other noticeable thing is our water loss is at 11.75% this month, which is really good. Like an overall goal for most communities is around 12%, or obviously lower, but when you're in the 12% range, you're doing really well. We've started work on Mallard actually today. Anticipate several weeks on it before we complete that job. The John Deere backhoe, which the transmission had went out in it, y'all had approved it, I believe a month ago, is supposed to be delivered this week. The new truck that was approved around January or February is supposed to be completed, and we'll be able to pick it up this week as well, hopefully. And aside from that, it's really all we got going on right now. Does anybody have any questions?
I just wanted to say congratulations on that water percentage loss or water loss percentage. Because at one time it was up at over 28.
Yes, ma'am.
Good job.
Well, we've made a lot of leak repairs in July and this month already, and a lot of them are due to the ground getting hard and either rupturing or breaking the line, but some of them are leaks that have been there for an extended period of time but have gone unnoticed because the ground has been so saturated and so moist this year that it's actually drying out to where we can actually locate some of these leaks. So I'm sure that's going to assist in that water loss as well. And Philip mentioned earlier about some usages. Next council meeting, I can have some comparisons of production and sold. That way to give you something you can look and compare.
All right, any other questions for Jim?
And if nobody opposes, I got some personal stuff to take care of, and I'd actually like to log off. So if you do have any questions, I'll take them right now if you got them.
I think we're good, Jim. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, sir.
If anybody needs you, they can feel free to follow up with you after.
All right. Thank you. Y'all have a good night.
You too. All right, Chief Edwards, the floor is yours.
There we go. Good evening.
Hey, good evening.
July looked a whole lot better for us last month. Numbers have gone up. Had a total of 245 complaints or dispatch calls. 213 of those were 911 calls. Of course, you can see in the packet the warrants served. We had 17 misdemeanor warrants served. We're trying to serve as many of these misdemeanor warrants as we can as they come across them. Yes, they're getting court dates, but we're trying to get them through the court system because there for a while, with the court being closed, we had a lot of backlog. Inmates being housed are having more, which is a good thing for our income on our criminal justice. Bill totaled with immigration and probation parole a total of $10,650 for July. I'm going to try to see if we can maintain that for a little while. Other than that, if you have any questions, I'll report.
Anything for the chief? All right, good job, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Roy Don, floor is yours.
All right, we'll start with mosquito control because Greg's not here tonight. He's got an average, the mosquito trap averages in your packet for July. You'll notice on the outskirts of town, the numbers are up higher than they are in the center of town. It says northeast and southwest. That's closer to the center. It's just northeast of Center Street and southwest of Center Street over in there, that area. The number's a lot lower. We've got a guy from Clark's gonna come down here in a couple of weeks and do us a test, run some tests for us and everything on the mosquitoes. Other than that, that's all I got on mosquito control. Are there any questions on mosquito control? All right. On parks, the security system contract with a concession stand, that's not just a concession stand, that's also the shop also. And you'll see in that contract, the total of it, the installation is $5,224.50, and the annual service charge is $1,656.40. That comes to a total of $6,880.90. I'd like to have that put in if I could.
Is that just the security system, or is there cameras in that as well?
That is just security system. That's alarms. That's it. If the door is open, and it's also got motion detectors on the inside of the shop and inside the concession stand. But that's the things on the doors. Alarms on the doors.
Can you give a brief, just a brief rundown of the past year, 2, 5 years, things that have been stolen, and how it's easy to take things away? Just kind of paint a picture of that environment out there during the middle of the night.
Well,
tell us
since I've been here for the last 18 years, we've had, I know of 2 trailers stolen, 18-foot trailers stolen. Our shop has been broken into and stole a little over, if I'm not mistaken, Regina, wasn't it like $12,000, $13,000 worth of equipment out of our shop? And we've had the old concession stand was broken in twice, and there was no money in there, but they stole the registers, broke them, and they stole cases of drink, cases of candy bars and stuff like that.
You just do some real rough math, you're looking at probably easy $20,000 or if not more in the past 2 years. 2 trailers.
Well, not in the last 2 years. It's been about the last 5 years.
5 years.
20,000.
Okay, that helps.
But we've got a new concession stand, and I'd like to take care of it. We are going to get cameras, but it's going to be run off the internet. It won't be off the alarm system. We're going to put them up later on the outside of the concession stand.
I'll take a motion at this time to accept the bid as presented.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
We just got one bid.
Well, we're already with Johnson Controls already with the shop. We've been with them for the last 5 years, I guess. It used to be ADT, and we've already got an agreement with Johnson Controls. Now they're going to come in and when we tore down, we had all the stuff in the old concession stand and the shop at one time, but there's going to have to be more stuff added to it and everything. And they're just replacing everything and putting all new stuff in it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So we've been with Johnson Controls for the last 5 years, and we've had $20,000 of loss in the past 5 years.
No, before that, all that was before that. Now we did have a trailer stolen 3 years ago. That was the last time we had anything stolen. But we've had Johnson Controls since then. The trailer was on the outside. Nothing we could do about that.
I think what Coy's asking is, what is out there currently right now that should have potentially prevented or caught somebody from stealing a trailer? Is that more along what you're trying to get to, Coy?
Well, I thought he had just told Alice that we've had Johnson Controls for the past 5 years, and previously I thought I'd understood that we've had $20,000 worth of loss in the past 5 years. So I was just trying to get my head around that.
Yeah.
We had the shop got broke into, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was about 6 years ago. That's what preempted us to get ADT. Before that, we had a trailer stolen before that, and the concession stand was broken in a couple times before that too. But
So
we had
our
80
have been greater than the
before.
past.
Right.
The-
Our losses has been before we got ADT out here, or Johnson Controls out here, except for the last trailer 3 years ago, and it was sitting outside the shop.
So when did
was
Johnson
chained
Controls? When did Johnson Controls take over?
5 years ago.
So what you're saying, I think, is since then, there's been only one trailer stolen from the ballpark in the past 5 years.
Yes.
And it was sitting outside, so it wouldn't have been, no alarm system would have been triggered.
Is the reason we're not going ahead and getting cameras? I've just bought 2 new security systems with cameras, with 8 cameras in each building, and so I'm trying to get the math, wrap my head around the math of what we're doing. Do we have internet service out there already or not?
We have internet service to the shop, and we've got cameras on the shop. The internet, the guy's supposed to be coming, putting them in the new concession stand. Make the internet go to the concession stand next week. And at that time, we'll be able to put our cameras.
So is our camera, so are you going to be coming back to us next month for the cameras for Johnson Controls as well?
No, sir. I'm gonna try to buy the ones at Sam's. That's what they have at the water department. It works real well. It'll send an alert to your phone.
Does Johnson Controls have us programmed for cameras or not?
No, sir. It's a lot higher for them to monitor it and everything. They put the cameras in and monitor it than $1,600, $1,656 a year. It's a lot higher. I can ask them and bring it to the next council meeting.
I don't know. It just seems like when I piecemeal that stuff, I'm never as happy with the product as I thought that I would have. That's my concern.
Oh, no, I understand it. And I tell you why, we put cameras on the outside of the shop that we've gotten. And they alert and they record every night and everything out here. We got them setting up recording once we leave here. But I was going to do the same thing for the concession stand. But if you want something different, I don't mind.
I just want it to work and alert us. You know, that's my only concern. And I mean, and that may not be a valid concern. It's just makes me go.
The concession stand, I mean, this ballpark is out on the very edge of the city limits. And that's the reason why we lock the gates as much as we do at night, late in the evenings. Since we started locking the gates and everything, we've not had nothing stolen. But and we got trailer locks on the trailers and everything now and everything. But I would like to have cameras, but we're going to add them. I thought it would be cheaper, and I was just trying to save money since my budget took a hit this year.
No, I completely understand that, and I appreciate you being mindful of that.
Okay. I have yet to get a motion to approve going with Johnson Controls, but I'm looking for one.
I move that we accept the bid from Johnson Controls for the security system at the ballpark.
Okay. Motion's made. Do I have a second?
Second. Bill.
Motion's made by Ms. Alice, seconded by Matt Cordell. And Corey brought up a valid point. Moving with Johnson Controls, we're going to get security protections on all of our doors. Are they also going to put them on the windows? We're not.
No, sir. That's what the movement inside. It's going to have devices on the inside of there.
Motion detectors inside. Yep. Okay. Motion detectors, door detection, and then that'll be supplemented with the camera systems that you'll be looking at next week that will send video to an app on your phone.
Right, and it all record also.
Are there any other questions or concerns? All right, if there's not, then we'll take it to a vote. All in favor? Say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, the motion carries.
You also have the flower beds on the ballpark at the ballpark that was going to put was getting some quotes on. We're going to wait for a month or two to do that. We've got them filled full of dirt right now, but we're just going to wait to get the bordering done at a later date. Let me see how my money situation is later on.
So we're going to table the flower beds at the ballpark till next month at least.
Yes.
All right. You got anything else for us, Roydon?
No, sir. That's it. Any other
Roy
questions?
I have
Yes,
a
ma'am.
question. Do we have any updates on the other city parks? Anything else going on?
Well, right now, I'm kind of glad you brought that up. Me and the mayor talked today. BB is not playing ball this fall. Carlisle's not playing ball this fall. I talked to Hazen ballpark, the Hazen president. They're not city run. That's run by commission. He said he's not going to have but 2 teams, and he don't look like he's going to be able to play fall ball. He would like to play against somebody, but there's not enough teams out there to play. Cabot is playing fall ball, and Sylvan Hills is, but they're playing in-house. They have enough teams to play in-house. They don't have to go play other people. Me and the mayor talked about it today. He made a couple phone calls and talked to Dr. Anderson, Dr. Tackett, and at this time we think it's best just not to have fall ball because of the numbers of COVID and everything. If one kid caught it out here, I would never be able to forgive myself. I'll be honest with you. We're just going to take the hit this year and hope for the best next year. We are going to open up the park where people can come out here and practice and whatever. And if they want to play a scrimmage game or something like that, but if they do, we're going to come up with some kind of, what was it, Mayor?
Just look at the way
disclaimer or
it says some entity wants to host a game or whatever, then we'll
play a game.
Look, yeah, some type of mega game. Then we'll look at have them sign a waiver so it can't hold the city liable and all that. Go through Ginger at a point in time that we get ready to formulate some type of document. But it's not an easy decision. It's frustrating, to be honest with you. There's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of information that we don't have, and it's probably a conservative call. But at the end of the day, it's my call, and I rely heavily on Roydon. Trust me, he's had his foot on the gas pedal, trying to push these seasons as smartly and the best he can. And he's also tempered the conversation with calling around and staying in the loop with these other ballparks and keeping his ear to the rail. So we absolutely are trying to do what we think is best for the community and keep people safe given the amount of information that we have here. We haven't seen a breakout yet. There are some towns around us that are currently experiencing more of this than they probably wish they were. It's, if we experience a breakout in Lone Oak, it's going to be where people groups are gathered. It's the bottom line. It's the whole reason we're sitting here on Zoom and we're not in that nice new city council room that we paid for back in February, March. So, any other questions?
I agree. I think it's a smart decision.
It's not the one we want to make, but it's the one that I think we need to make. And to that point, we still don't even know what the participation rate would be, given the fact that, looking at Roydon's numbers, we would be struggling and fighting just to break even on a fall ball season. The goal wouldn't be to make money. The goal would be to break even, to make sure we had enough money to, justify keeping the dugouts swept, sanitized between each game. The bathrooms had to be cleaned out between each games. You'd be looking at moving the bleachers. So you're going to inconvenience people. They're going to have to bring lawn chairs. There's a lot of considerations that go into keeping a ballpark facility clean and at the same time trying to host people from other parts of Central Arkansas to come into your community. So there's just a lot of unknowns, and it's a conservative call, but that's where we stand right now. Anything else for Roy Don before we move forward?
Are there any more questions?
All right. Thank you very much, sir. All right, Dan, you still with us? The floor is yours, Mr. Salinger.
There we go. I was having a little problem getting it unmuted. I believe we're going to be covering the 5 houses that we're looking at that have been condemned and looking at the estimates on that. We had one company that responded in time. I had another company that got us a quote this morning. Wasn't very competitive, having a lot of problems getting companies to compete to come out to Lone Oak to take these small houses down. The company that sent us the estimate this morning is about $1,500 per unit higher than the competition from Mr. Phillips. Mr. Phillips has given us a quote at $4,500 per unit, with one exception, the one on Harrison Street being at $5,000 because there's a small addition with the accessory building in the back, and I think it was made out of brick. Looking at that, you know, I'll read this one off. The TD Sims was the other company that gave us that late quote this morning. He wants $6,600 to take down 202 England if they don't get it down within their time limit that they asked for. The Harrison Street structure would be $6,450, and the combined 3 that's at 719 South Center would be $17,858. So he's considerably higher, but he was the only other one that I could actually get to come out and give us an estimate on demolition. So I'm going to kind of ask if you guys have any questions on that part.
Are there any questions about the current quote?
Yeah, Daniel, did you talk to, how did you get these? Just calling some demolition people, or use some numbers from North Little Rock, or how did we get a hold of these? I've got another contact in mind I was just going to have you check with potentially.
I used 5 different companies. One of them expressed that they wouldn't come out to Lone Oak. I had one that wouldn't answer the phone at all. I think his number may have been disconnected. And then I had Redstone that said they were going to come out. They didn't come out. I called them back. Yes, they were going to come back out. They didn't come out, and it just kind of turned into a fiasco to try and get them to come out. It seems as though that they don't want to come that far out for these small jobs.
I got there's another guy in Lone Oak may be interested in the county, not in the city limits, but.
Matt, are they bonded? Do you know?
I'd have to know those details. I'm not sure. I'd assume, but I don't know.
All right. If there are any other questions for Daniel, and if there's any other contacts, Matt, you might have that you want to reach out to, I think maybe I'd take a motion to accept the proposal as presented. And if we happen to find a better estimate, then we can go with that company instead. Basically a lower price than what we've got on the table. Does anybody have any problems with presenting the motion that way?
I'll make a motion. We'll go with Randy Phillips unless we get a lower bid between now and next month.
Okay.
I second it.
All right. Motion's made to go forward with the bid as presented, unless we get a lower bid on the table between now and next month. Motion made by Michael Florence, seconded by Suzette Elmore. Lastly, any questions? Then we'll take it to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? And the motion carries. Dan, do you have anything else for us?
Just a quick update on that. it was the day after our last meeting that Mr. Gentry, who was the owner at the property at 719 South Center, contacted me and said, hey, I think you guys want to take some of these down. He did make contact with Mr. Phillips on his own to take 2 of the structures down. He's very resistant on the third one. As I kind of explained to him, it was already a done deal, that he waited till the day after the meeting to respond in. I went back out and re-examined the house again. I actually can take my fist and put it right through the wall. And actually the 2x4s I can crush in my bare hands. I think he has an emotional attachment. He might be a little bit argumentative on this. He seems to be coming around, but if he does get argumentative, I can tell you it's not going to be structurally sound, and I couldn't approve that kind of repair if he even attempted.
All right.
You said he contacted Mr. Phillips. Was he willing to pay for the demolition?
Yes, ma'am. He had contacted Mr. Phillips and has already gone under contract with Mr. Phillips on 2 of the structures.
So we wouldn't have to pay that.
That is correct.
Okay.
Which 2 structures were those, Daniel?
One of them was the at 719 South Center. That's the one that you see from center. Then you have 2 that are on the backside that face over towards Hicks Street.
Mm-hmm.
The one that would be closest to Hicks going north is really in bad shape. It's literally falling in, and I don't remember the address. I think the other one is a 3. I don't want to start lying. It was the higher of the addresses, but it had been his father's house, and he kind of felt an emotional attachment to it. Since then, he's been calling me about every 2 or 3, maybe 4 days out. He even had his son contact me, and his son said, listen, he was a little bit apologetic. He says, Dad's a hard case, but he wanted to get some pictures. And that's when I sent him the pictures of the 2x4 that I could crush in my hands and where I could literally put my fist through the wall. And I think he's working on him on that, along with his brother.
So we would only have to spend $14,000.
I think a lot of this we're going to be recovering. I'm going to make an assumption, which probably gets me in trouble. I will assume that he'll come around and he'll probably contract that third one himself. I anticipate England will probably find out just how difficult it is and work on getting it done themselves. The one that we're going to end up paying for is going to be on Harrison Street, which is really bad condition. And I don't think we've gotten any response. I think that may have been somebody had passed on in the past.
So Daniel, will we be giving Mr. Gentry a timeline on getting these structures down?
I spoke directly with Mr. Phillips, who was contacted by Mr. Gentry. He was supposed to already have been started and just about completed. His truck had a problem. He's having a hard time locating some of the parts, but we seem to be first on the list, and he's going to let us know as soon as he gets those parts in.
Any other questions for Dan? All right, if not, we'll move on. You guys feel free to follow up with him outside the council if you guys have questions. Thank you, Dan. All right. Sorry about that. I have my slides out of order. Mike, we'll let you follow up here with the report, sir. Floor is yours. Mike, if you can hear me, I think you're working on the unmute. Is that right? Mike, can you hear me? Hey, Mike, one last time. Can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me talking. All right. I think you're working on an unmute. Is that right? Can you unmute your screen? Okay. I've actually tried to unmute you myself on this side. There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Good job.
I had to get my technical assistant. For the center, just a basic month. Our membership's been averaging around 500. We fell just a little bit below that, but we're still operating at to state mandate 66%. So it'll be there until we can unwrap a few things and get our classes back and get all our machines going. You know, it is what it is. But I don't have any action items. I'm just basically waiting on a number from chemistry on our pool pack. And I'm in contact with them weekly. And they promised me today that it would be up before it got cold. So, I mean, the number could be anywhere from 300,000 or 400,000. So just kind of holding suit till we get that number. And kind of piggyback on what Roydon was saying, I was waiting on him to go through baseball. And now that I found out he's canceled, and we'll move our basketball season if we have it in January, but we'll move it to January because we normally start the last part of October. So I'll just let everybody know that we'll wait and see, what this virus is going to do. And like I said, we may start it in January. That's not 100% right now. Mayor, that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions for Mike Brown? All right. Appreciate it, Mike.
Yes, sir.
All right. Just a couple things on city business. It's actually a small slide this month here. For old business, we don't have any action that needs approving. But Thursday, 13 August, we're going to host a special session to discuss a resolution for a park grant that we're submitting for, and that should take 10 or 15 minutes, at least on the schedule, and then move into a working session so that we can discuss our sanitation contract. I've got lined up 3 different companies that are going to present to the city council through Zoom, and they each get 25 minutes, much like what we saw with the energy companies, where they'll come in and give us a description of their product, what they provide, how they partner with the community. And let me say too, let me just give Ms. Alice a huge pat on the back, because I passed the football and asked her to step in, and she exceeded any expectation that I had for this. And so I'm very thankful for her, and I think we should all be as well. So she's done a really good job. The product that you see in your packet was what Ms. Alice has actually put together, the matrix that kind of lays out the 3 different companies, what they generalize by type, what they provide. And this is the end goal here, is to help us as a city and a council come together and figure out how we want to frame the RFP that we're going to release. Okay. We do have an extension on our current waste management contract through the beginning of the year. And the goal will be to have an RFP released and the company chosen hopefully before November to start in the beginning of the year, January the 1st. All right. Does anybody have any questions about that? If you do, feel free to bring them to the meeting on Thursday. And again, that's going to be at 5:30 because we've got a special council. We're going to open up, close that, and then go into a working session. All right, moving on to new business. We've got 2 ordinances to put on the floor. The first of which is an ordinance to vacate the alley that we spoke about during the public meeting about an hour ago. That is Hicks and Reynolds, block 21, the alley running north and south. If there aren't any questions about this alley and its petition to be closed, then at this time, I'll take a motion to put it on the floor.
Move to put ordinance
So moved.
on the floor.
All right, so I've got a motion by Matt Cordell. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, that wasn't clear. Who did the second come from?
From Jones.
Okay, I got a motion by Matt Cordell and a second by Ephraim Jones. Ginger, if you would, please read the ordinance.
Ordinance number 766, an ordinance vacating the alley running north and south through block 21 Hickson Reynolds survey to the town of Lonoke, Lonoke County, Arkansas. Whereas a petition was duly filed with the City Council of the City of Lonoke, Lonoke County, Arkansas on the 22nd day of June 2020, praying the City Council close the alley running north and south as described in the original plat filed in the Circuit Clerk's office in and for the County of Lonoke, Arkansas. Whereas after due notice as required by law, the council has, at the time and place mentioned in the notice, heard all persons desiring to be heard on the questions and has ascertained that the alley running north and south through block 21 Hicks and Reynolds survey to the town of Lonoke has heretofore been dedicated to the public use as an alley, has not been actually used by the public as an alley for a period of at least 5 years subsequent to the filing of the petition, and that all of the owners of property abutting the alley have filed with the council their written consent to abandonment, and the public interest and welfare will not be affected by the closing of said alley. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Lonoke, Arkansas. Section 1, the City of Lonoke, Arkansas hereby releases, vacates, and abandons all its rights together with the rights of the public generally in and to the alley which runs north and south through block 21 Hicks and Reynolds survey to the town of Lonoke, Lonoke County, Arkansas. Section 2, a copy of the ordinance duly certified by the city clerk shall be filed in the office of the recorder of the county and recorded in the deed records of said county. Section 3, this ordinance shall take effect and be in force from and after its passage.
All right. Are there any questions about the ordinance as it's read?
Make a motion to accept the first reading.
I've got a motion.
Second.
Motion by Ephraim Jones, seconded by Coy Butler. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. I'll take a motion to suspend the rules, second and third reading, title only.
So move.
Second.
Motion made by Ephraim Jones, seconded by Ms. Alice Bridges.
Ordinance number, oh, sorry.
Nope, you're right. Go ahead.
Okay, ordinance number 766, an ordinance vacating the alley running north and south through block 21 Hicks and Reynolds survey to the town of Lonoke, Lonoke County, Arkansas.
Motion to accept the second and third reading, title only.
Second. Coy
Motion's-
Butler.
Motion's made by Ephraim Jones, seconded by Mr. Butler. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, motion passes. I'll take a motion to adopt ordinance 766.
So moved. Coy Butler.
Second, Ephraim Jones.
Motion is made by Coy and seconded by Ephraim Jones. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. And I'll take a motion to adopt the emergency clause.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion by Coy Butler and seconded by Ephraim Jones. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, that ordinance is done. Next, last on new business is ordinance 767. You'll see utility right-of-way permit standards and specifications. This is a product of our dealings with Mr. Greg Fender at Local Government Services. If you remember, he helped us with our AT&T contract, and he also managed our franchise right-of-way audit. And this is a product from that process. And essentially, I hope everybody had an opportunity to kind of read through that, but this is just a spec set of orders and rules. If a company wants to come in to the city of Lone Oak, that they need to adhere to, essentially come by City Hall, get their permit, and then they can move forward with installation of their product. And beforehand, we did not have anything in writing that kind of determined what these rules were. And that's exactly what we're framing with this ordinance. Before we get started with the dance, are there any questions on it? Well, if there's not, I'll take a motion to put ordinance 767 on the floor.
So moved. Yeah.
Second, Coy Butler.
Motion made by Matt Cordell, seconded by Coy Butler. Ms. Ginger?
Hold on, y'all. Ordinance number 767, an ordinance to establish standards and specifications to administer and regulate the right-of-way in the public interest and to provide for the issuance and regulation of right-of-way permits. Whereas the city of Lone Oak, the city has the authority under the Arkansas state law to take appropriate actions to safeguard its streets, property, and rights of way. And whereas the city is vitally concerned with the use, construction within, and occupancy of all rights of way in the city, as such rights of way are a valuable and limited resource which must be utilized to promote the public health, safety, welfare, economic development of the city, and to protect public work infrastructure. And whereas a uniform process needs to be in place, which assures companies shall comply with all applicable laws and regulations, including municipal ordinances and regulations regarding the placement and maintenance of facilities in the public rights of way that are reasonable, non-discriminatory, and applicable to all users of the rights of way.
Motion first reading.
One second. She told me she may have an issue locking up. Let's just give her a second, see if she comes back.
I'm back.
All right, welcome back, Ginger. I had you at the almost at the bottom of page 1. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear y'all now. Sorry about that. I've got a computer issue. Somebody text me if you lose me again. Now therefore be it ordained and established by the mayor and council of the city of Lone Oak, Arkansas as follows. Section 1, purpose, authority, scope, and definitions. A, purpose. This ordinance prescribes the minimum requirements for the accommodation of public and private utilities within the right of way within the municipal boundaries of Lone Oak, Arkansas. B, under Arkansas Code Annotated 14-200-101, the city of Lone Oak has the authority to determine the terms and conditions upon which a public utility may be permitted to occupy the streets, highways, or other public places within the municipality. C, scope. The provisions of this ordinance shall apply to all utilities and facilities occupying the rights of way as provided herein. D, definitions. City means the city of Lone Oak, Arkansas. 2, codified ordinances means the codified ordinances of the city of Lone Oak, Arkansas. 3, construct means but shall not be limited to dig, bore, tunnel, trench, excavate, obstruct, install, or remove signs or facilities other than landscaping or ornamental plantings in, on, above, within, over, below, under, through, or any part of the rights of way. Construct shall also include the act of opening and or cutting into the surface of any paved or improved surface that is in any part of the right of way. Construction means but shall not be limited to the act or process of digging, boring, tunneling, trenching, excavating, obstructing, installing, or removing signs or facilities other than landscaping or ornamental plantings in, above, or within, over, below, or under, or through any part of the rights of way. Construction shall also include the act of opening, boring, and or cutting into the surface of any part of the right of way. Number 5, director means the mayor, his or her designee. Number 6, emergency means a condition that poses a clear and immediate danger to life, health, or safety of a person, or of significant damage or loss of real or personal property. Number 7, facility or facilities means any tangible thing, including but not limited to pipes, mains, conduits, cables, wires, poles, towers, traffic, and other signals, and other equipment, appurtenances, appliances, and future technology of any utility in, on, along, over, or under any part of the rights of way within the city. Number 8, facilities representatives means the specific identified agents / employees of a utility who are authorized to direct field activities of that utility and serve as official notice agents for facilities related information. Utilities shall be required to make sure at least one of its facilities representatives available at all times to receive notice of and immediately direct response to facilities related emergencies or situations. Number 9, FCC means the Federal Communications Commission or any successor thereto. Number 10, permit means an authorization which grants permission to conduct specific regulated activities on, in, over, under, or within any right-of-way, and which may be subject to conditions specified by a written agreement with the city or a related provision of this code ordinances. Number 11, rights of way mean the surface and space in, on, above, within, over, below, or under, or through any real property which the city has an interest in law or equity, whether held in fee or other estate or interest, or as a trustee for the public, including but not limited to any public street, boulevard, road, highway, freeway, lane, alley, court, sidewalk, parkway, or any other place, area, or real property owned by or under the legal or equitable control of the city, now or hereafter, that consistent with the purposes for which it was dedicated may be used for the purposes of constructing, operating, or repairing, or replacing facilities. Number 12, services means the offering of any service by utility for a fee directly to the public or to such classes of users as to be effectively available directly to the public, or alternatively, the provision of any service by utility between 2 or more points for a proprietary purpose to a class of users other than the general public. Number 13, service agreement means a valid license agreement, service agreement, franchise agreement, or operating agreement issued by the city or state pursuant to law and accepted by a utility or entered into by and between the city and a utility, which allows the utility to operate or provide service within the geographic limits of the city. Number 14, streets or streets mean the surface of, as well as the spaces above and below, any and all the streets, alleys, avenues, roads, bridges, tunnels, and public places of the city within the corporate limits of the city as the same now exist or may hereafter be extended or altered, and any location thereon, thereover, or thereunder, and any portion thereof. Number 15, transfer means the disposal by the utility directly or indirectly by gift, assignment, sale, merger, consolidation, or otherwise of more than 50% at one time of the ownership or controlling interest in the facilities, or of more than 50% cumulatively over the term of a written approval of registration of such interest to a corporation, partnership, limited partnership, trust, or association, or person or group of persons acting in concert. Number 16, unused facilities means facilities located in the rights of way which have remained unused for a period for 12 months and for which the utility is unable to provide the city with a plan detailing the procedure by which the utility intends to begin actively using such facilities within the next 12 months, or that it has a potential purchaser or user of the facilities which will be actively using the facilities within the next 12 months, or that the availability of such facilities required by the utility to adequately and efficiently operate its facilities. Number 17, utility or utilities mean
If you guys can hear me, we'll give her just another second to come back. Hey, Ginger, we can, yep. You're still muted. If you can hear me, there
Gotcha.
you go. All right.
I'm not real sure where I left off, but I'm going to pick up.
Number
where I
17.
think I left.
Yeah, number 17.
All right, great. Utilities means all privately, publicly, or cooperatively owned systems for producing, transmitting, or distributing communication, data, information, telecommunication, cable, television, video services, power, electricity, light, heat, gas, oil, crude products, water/sewer, steam, fire, and police signals, traffic control devices, and street lighting systems, and housing or conduit for any of the foregoing which directly or indirectly serve the public or any part thereof. The term utility may also be used to refer to the owner, operator, utility service contractor, or subcontractor, or any agent thereof, of any above described utility or utility facility. Section 2, construction permits required. A, permit required. It shall be unlawful for any utility to excavate or to construct, install, maintain, renew, remove, or relocate facilities in, on, along, or over or under the public roads of the city without a utility permit from the Department of Planning and Environmental Services in accordance with the terms of this ordinance. B, permit procedure. Utility permits shall be obtained from the mayor's office or such other person as the mayor may designate upon application made on forms prescribed by the city. The written application shall include the following. Number one, name and address of the utility. Number two, the nature, extent, and location of any work proposed to be done, along with satisfactory plans as attachments showing in detail the location of the proposed facility or operations as described in the permit application. The plan shall show the size or capacity of the facilities to be installed, their relationships to street features such as right-of-way lines, pavement edge structures, horizontal and vertical clearance to critical elements of the roadway, and any other information necessary to evaluate the impact on the street and its operation. Number three, the name and address of the personal firm who is to do such work. Number four, this name, street address, email address, if applicable, and telephone and facsimile numbers of one or more of the facility's representatives. Number five, the projected dates for the work to be started and finished. Number six, an indemnity bond or other accessible security in an amount to be set by the city to pay any damages or to any part of the city road system or other city property, or to any city employee or member of the public caused by activity or work of the utility performed under authority of the permit issued. Number seven, a copy, if requested, of the registrant's certificate of authority or other acceptable evidence of authority to operate from the Arkansas Public Service Commission and or the FCC, and any other similar approvals, permits, or agreements. And number eight, a copy, if requested, of the service agreement, if applicable, to or any other legal instrument that authorizes the utility to use or occupy the right-of-way for the purpose described in the application. C, permit fees. The city shall charge a permit fee of $250 per application to be paid by the utility upon submission of the application. D, issuance of permit. Issuance of permit. If the director determines the applicant has satisfied the following requirements, the director may issue a permit. Number one, whether issuing the approval will be consistent with this ordinance, and whether applicant has submitted a complete application and has secured all certificates and other authorizations required by law, if applicable, in order to construct facilities in the manner proposed by the applicant. And number three, the impact on safety, visual quality of the streets, traffic flow, and other users of the right-of-way, and the difficulty and length of time of the project construction or maintenance. E, emergency situations. Each utility shall, as soon as reasonably practicable, notify the director of any event regarding its facilities which it considers to be an emergency. The utility may proceed to take whatever actions are necessary in order to respond to the emergency. A utility who engages in an emergency excavation shall take all reasonable precautions to avoid or minimize damage to the existing facilities. Number two, in the event the city becomes aware of an emergency regarding utility facilities, the city may attempt to contact the affected utility or facilities representative. The city may take whatever action it deems necessary in order to respond to the emergency, including cut or move any of the wires, cables, amplifiers, appliances, or any parts of the facilities. The city shall not incur liability to the utility for such emergency actions, and the cost of such shall be paid by each utility affected by the emergency. Number F, effective period of permit. Each permit shall have a set commencement and expiration date based on information provided in the applicant's permit application. Number two, the permit shall remain in place. Construction is completed or until its expiration date unless the utility is in default. The director may give written notice of any default to a utility if it's determined that a utility has A, violated any provision or requirement that of the issuance or acceptance of a permit application or any law of the city, state, or federal government. B, attempted to evade any provision or requirement of this ordinance. C, practiced any fraud or deceit upon the city. Or D, made a material misrepresentation or omission of fact in its permit application. G, cancellation for cause. If a utility fails to cure a default within 20 working days after such notice is provided to the utility by the city, then such default shall be a material breach, and the city may exercise any remedies or rights it has in law or equity to terminate the permit. If the director decides there is cause or reason to terminate, the following procedure shall be followed. Number one, city shall serve a utility with a written notice of the reason or cause for proposed termination, and shall allow a utility a minimum of 15 calendar days to cure its breach. Number two, if the utility fails to cure within 15 calendar days, the city may declare the permit terminated. H, expiration of permit.
Guys, I know this is frustrating. I appreciate you hanging in there, doing the best we can with what we've got. Let's give her a few more seconds. And we're only on page 6 of 11. All right, I think she's back. Still muted.
Sorry about that, guys. I got a Wi-Fi card going out on a computer.
You're doing great. Thank you. I had you at H, page 6, expiration of permit.
Perfect. H, expiration of permit. If work is not begun within 6 months of the date of issuance, the permit will automatically expire. Section 3, required minimum standards. A, utility accommodation manual adopted. The 2010 utility accommodation policy manual, including all references contained to therein to codes, rules, regulation schedules, forms, and appendix items promulgated by the Arkansas State Highway and Transportation Department, as may be amended from time to time, is hereby adopted by reference and incorporated in the article as if fully set forth herein, subject to the amendments and modification contained in this ordinance. A copy of the manual shall be maintained at the offices of the director or his designee and open for public inspection. Any conflicts between the provisions of this ordinance and the manual shall be resolved in favor of the manual. References to state personnel, agencies, and fees shall be interpreted where required as meaning the city of Lone Oak municipal equivalents. Part B, protection of traffic and roadway. Unless specifically in the permit, no utility may occupy the city rights of way unless sufficient space is available so that the free flow of and safety of traffic and other capacity considerations are not unduly impaired, and the installation does not prevent the department from reasonably maintaining the street structures, traffic control devices, and other appurtenant facilities, and further provided that maintenance and operations of the facilities do not jeopardize the traffic, street structure, or other users of the right-of-way or the right-of-way itself. C, grading. If the grades or lines of any street within the city right-of-way are changed at any time by the city during the term of the permit, and this change involves an area in which the utilities facilities are located, then the utility shall, at its own cost and expense, and upon the request of the city, upon reasonable notice, protect or promptly alter or relocate the facilities or any part thereof so as to conform with such new grades or lines. In the event that the utility refuses or neglects to so protect, alter, or relocate all or part of the facilities, the city shall have the right to break through, remove, alter, or relocate any or all part of the facilities without any liability to the utility, and the utility shall pay to the city the costs incurred in connection with such breaking through, removal, alteration, or relocation. D, installation of poles and other wire holding structures and relocation. Unless otherwise provided in a valid service agreement, no placement of any pole or wire holding structure of this utility is to be considered a vested interest of the right-of-way, and such poles or structures are to be removed, relocated underground, or modified by the utility at its own expense whenever the city determines that the public convenience would be enhanced thereby. The facility shall be so located and installed as to cause minimum interference with the rights and convenience of property owners. E, notice of intent to excavate or demolish. As provided in Arkansas Statute 14-271-112 and other applicable state law currently in place or as amended, no utility shall commence, perform, or engage in blasting or in excavating with mechanized excavating facilities unless and until the utility planning the blasting or excavating has given 48 hours notice by submitting a locate request to the one call center beginning the next working day after such notice is provided, excluding hours during days other than working days. Section 4, restoration of property. Each utility shall be responsible for the cost of repairing any facilities in the rights of way and adjoining property or other facilities which it or its facilities damage. Part B, a utility shall be liable at its own cost and expense to replace, restore, or repair any street, facilities, or property and structure thereon, thereunder, thereover, or adjacent thereto, which may become disturbed or damaged as a result of the construction or installation, operation, upgrade, or removal of facilities to a condition as good or as better than its condition before the work performed by the utility that caused such disturbance or damage. If the utility does not commence such replacement or repair after 20 working days following written notice from the city or owner of the affected structure or property may make such replacement or repair. The utility shall pay the reasonable and actual cost of the same. Section 5, inspection. Part A, the utility shall make the construction site available to the director and all others as authorized by law for inspection at all reasonable times during the excavation and upon completion of the construction. B, at any time, including the time of inspection, the director may order the immediate cessation of any work which poses a serious threat to the health, safety, or welfare of the public, violates any law, or which violates the terms and conditions of the permit and or this ordinance, or issue an order to correct work that does not conform with the permit and or applicable standards, conditions, or codes. Number C, when the C construction under any permit is completed, the utility shall notify the director. Section 6, other approvals, permits, and agreements. A, additional permits required. The utility shall obtain all construction, building, or other permits or approvals as according to the city ordinance, state, or federal law. In addition, a permittee shall comply with all requirements of laws, shall complete work in a way as to not cause any unnecessary or unauthorized obstructions of sidewalks, streets, waterways, or railways, and is responsible for all work done in the rights of way, regardless of who performs the work. No rights of way obstruction or excavation may be performed when seasonally prohibited or when conditions are unreasonable for such work, except in the case of emergency as outlined in Section 2E. Penalties, Section 7. Part A, every utility All right, sorry about that. We're almost there. Section 7, penalties. Every utility convicted of a violation of a provision of this ordinance shall be punished by a fine not exceeding $1,000 per violation. Each active violation and each day upon which any such violation shall occur shall constitute a separate offense. In addition to the penalty prescribed above, the city may pursue other remedies such as abatement of nuisances, injunctive relief, and revocation of licenses or permits. Section 8, aesthetic standards. A, authority and scope. Under Arkansas Code Annotated 14-200-101, the City of Lonoke has the authority to determine the terms and conditions upon which a public utility may be permitted to occupy the streets, highways, and other public places within the municipality. Further, 47 U.S.C. Section 253C provides that the city has the authority to manage its rights of way. Part B, the city finds that it's in the best interest of the city and its residents and businesses to establish aesthetic requirements and other specifications and reasonable conditions regarding placement of facilities in the rights of way. These requirements, specifications, and conditions are adopted in order to protect the public health, safety, and welfare of the residents and businesses of the city, and to reasonably manage and protect the rights of way and its uses in the city. Part C, the objective of this section is to ensure that the use of the rights of way, number one, and part I, is consistent with the design, appearance, and other features of nearby land uses. 2, protects the integrity of historic, cultural, and scenic resources. And 3, does not harm residents' quality of life. D, this section applies to all requests to locate facilities in the rights of way and ongoing use of the rights of way for such facilities. This section is established pursuant to city charter and applicable law. This section is administered by the Planning and Community Development Department. Part E, placement or modification of facilities in the right-of-way shall comply with this section at the time the permit for installation or modification is approved and amended from time to time. Permittees are required to comply with the city code and applicable law and regulations. Section F, definitions. Unless otherwise defined in Section 1, D, terms used in this section are as defined in the Arkansas Code Annotated Title 23, Chapter 17, Subchapter 5, the Small Wireless Facility Deployment Act. Definitions in this section include references and citations to applicable federal and state laws. In the event that any reference section is amended, the definition in the reference section as amended shall control. Part G, facility standards. Number 1, to the extent possible, facilities should be compatible in size and should be painted to match as closely as possible the color of similar facilities in the same zoning area with the goal of minimizing the physical and visual impact on the area. Part T, facilities shall be located in alignment with existing trees and or facilities. H, undergrounding. Facilities shall be installed underground to conform with areas where utilities are already underground, so long as placement underground will not materially impact the provision of service. Part J, camouflaging. Facilities must be designated using camouflaging techniques. that make them as unobtrusive as possible if, number one, it's not possible or desirable to match the design and color of facilities with the similar facilities in the same zoning area as required under section 8G1. K, concealment. Facilities shall incorporate specific concealment elements to minimize visual impacts. L, or I, it's L, sorry. Installation and modification standards. Installation of new facilities on, along, over, or under the rights of way, or modifications of existing facilities in, on, along, over, or under the rights of way shall, number one, minimize risk to public safety. Number two, ensure that placement of facilities on existing structures is within the tolerance of those structures. And number three, ensure that the use of the rights of way does not interfere with the primary uses of the rights of way or hinder the ability of the city or other government entities to improve, modify, relocate, abandon, or vacate the right of way or any portion thereof, or to cause the improvement, modification, relocation, vacation, or abandonment of facilities in the right of way. M, contact information. Every facility placed in the rights of way shall at all times display signage that accurately identifies the facility owner and provides the facility owner's unique site number, and also provides a local or toll-free telephone number to contact the facility owner's operations center. Section 9, other provisions. A, severability. If any section, subsection, sentence, clause, phrase, or portion of this ordinance is for any reason held invalid or unconstitutional by any court or administrative agency of competent jurisdiction, such portion shall be deemed a separate, distinct, and independent provision, and such holding shall not affect the validity of the remaining portions thereof. Part B, reservation of regulatory and police powers. The city, by issuing a permit under this ordinance, does not surrender to to any extent lose, waive, impair, or lessen the lawful powers and rights which it has now or may be hereafter vested in the city under the Constitution and the laws of the United States, the state of Arkansas, and the city charter, and under the provisions of the city's codified ordinances to regulate the use of the rights of way. The utility, by applying for and being issued a written permit, is deemed to acknowledge that all lawful powers and rights, regulatory power or police power or otherwise as are or the same may be from time to time vested or reserved to the city shall be in full force and effect, subject to the exercise thereof by the city at any time. A utility is deemed to acknowledge that its interests are subject to the regulatory and police powers of the city to adopt and enforce general ordinances necessary to the safety and welfare of
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and finish this, put this to bed here and just finish reading for the public. I'm sure Ginger will log back in. I'll let her know that she's locked up again, but she's at the top of page 11. A utility is deemed to acknowledge that its interests are subject to the regulatory and police powers of the city to adopt and enforce general ordinances necessary to the safety and welfare of the public, and is deemed to agree to comply with all applicable general laws enacted by the city pursuant to such powers. In particular, all utilities shall comply with city zoning and other land use requirements pertaining to the placement and specifications of facilities to the extent that they comply with state law.
I'm back if you want me to come back in.
Okay, you can pick up a C if you want to finish it off. I hate to take this away from you. You've put so much work into this. So you can start with C, compliance.
Thank you. Compliance. No person shall be relieved of its obligation to comply with any of the provisions of this ordinance by reason of any failure of the city to enforce compliance. D, appeal of administrative decisions. All appeals provided for by this ordinance and any notification to the city required by this ordinance shall be in writing and sent via certified mail to the director as specified in this ordinance. E, ordinance headings. Ordinance headings are for convenience only and shall not be used to interpret any portion of this ordinance. F, repealer, except as provided herein, otherwise herein, all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance are hereby repealed. G, effective date. The ordinance shall become effective immediately upon its adoption by the mayor and council of the city of Lone Oak.
Well done. Thank you so much. All right, and that's my fault. That's not Ginger's. I was trying to pass a record for the longest ordinance ever passed in the city of Lone Oak, and I think we just did that. At least we're well on our way. All right, so are there any questions? There are no questions about that. Then I'll take a motion to accept the first reading.
Make a motion to accept the first reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded by Alice Bridges. Motion made by Mr. Ephraim Jones, seconded by Alice Bridges. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, first reading is accepted. I'll take a motion to suspend the rules, second and third reading, title only.
Motion to suspend the rules, title only.
Second, Coy Ballard.
Motion's been made by Michael, seconded by Coy. Now, before we take this to a vote, does anybody want to see Ginger run through this again? All right,
I think you need to read it again.
all in favor, say aye.
It's Ephraim's turn.
Aye.
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 All opposed? All right, you can read the title.
Ordinance number 767, an ordinance to establish standards and specifications to administer and regulate the right-of-way in the public interest and to provide for the issuance and regulation of right-of-way permits.
This time I'll take a motion to adopt ordinance 767.
So moved.
Ryan.
Second, Coy Butler.
Motion made by Ryan Miles, seconded by Coy Butler. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, motion to adoption carries. And Ginger, back me up. I don't think there's a need for the emergency clause. It says it's adopted upon its passing.
I mean, if it's adopted upon passing, then there should be an emergency clause.
Now I will take a motion to adopt the emergency clause.
Second, so moved, Coy Butler.
Second.
Motion made by Coy Butler, seconded by Ephraim Jones. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, that's a good thing. Thanks, Ginger, for all that work. I know that wasn't easy. All right, last three things on the agenda, guys. We have, I need a motion to pay the bills.
So moved, Coy Butler.
Second, Cordell.
Motion made by Coy, seconded by Matt Cordell. Any questions?
I have one little question. On Republic Services, is that trash service?
I heard you say Republic.
Republic Services is on the first page of bills to be paid.
4,423.
Yes, that's what
Those are our
that is.
dumpsters.
Dumpsters
Oh, okay.
at the community center and the ballpark.
Okay, thank you.
And Mayor, I would like to say thank you to Cindy for defining some of these charges for us to make them very transparent.
And I'll pass that thank you on to Janie.
Oh, thank you, Janie.
Any other questions?
The only other question I have, and we've had this discussion before, but we just want to be mindful that we use all businesses in town to spread out some of these services and repairs. I've noticed that on Lone Oak Tire and Lube, their expenses were over $1,910. And then with VIP, we only had charges for $37.42. So I think we need to, just be mindful of that within all our departments to spread out our services.
Very well. Any other questions or comments?
This is Ryan, and I would echo that sentiment as well that Ms. Elmore just expressed.
Yeah, me too. It's Michael, but I agree, Suzette.
I agree too.
All right. If there are any other questions or concerns, we'll take it to a vote to pass the bills as presented. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Are there any announcements? Well, I've got nothing for the council. If there are no announcements, then I appreciate your time tonight. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Coy Butler.
Second.
Any objections? You guys have a great rest of the month.
Thank you.